welcome to my podcast. This is a podcast where I bring you inspirational stories on business and mindset to help you courageously and confidently achieve success beyond anything that you dream possible. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I'm a visibility confidence coach and the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. Let's just say that I know a few things about overcoming seemingly impossible obstacles in life and in business. My goal is to get you out there in your world so that you can stop playing small. Welcome to the show. Today we have a super highly charged and highly important topic that I believe every single one of us, especially new coaches, should know about. And it is a topic that kind of really set me back in the old days where I noticed that I could be so amazing and wonderful in the beginning of the call. And then when I get to the end of my discovery call, suddenly that voice pop in and show up. I don't know if this client is going to sign up with me. What if he or she doesn't like my product? What if he or she doesn't want to work with me? What do I do? And this is a topic that, many of my coaches, my friend, my community are struggling with. And so, which is why I wanted to make sure that I bring it to you and invite an amazing speaker to talk about this topic. So today joining me, I have Ms. Kendra Perry, who is a former multiple six-figure functional health coach, turning into online business strategist for health and wellness coaches and practitioners. She is on a mission to stop health coaches from being broke by helping them building blooming six-figure business that they love. She has helped hundreds of coaches grow their practice, attract consistent clients, and blowing up their bank account. Cha-ching! I like that sound. She is the creator of the Health Coach Accelerator, which turns scared, scattered, and self-conscious coaches into confident, focused, and high-performing health entrepreneurs. So I don't want to take up more space and time because this is a topic I'm really passionate about, and I wanted to make sure that you know how to do it as well so that you can close more sales and get more clients. Without further ado, please join me with the warm welcome, Kendra Perry.
Hello.
Kendra. You ever had that experience where you're on podcast and they're reading your bio? Who is that person?
I know. I'm like, I don't know who this girl is.
Right? But you had... when I reach out to you, I went to your website and you had a beautiful online presence. And one of the things that, I was really drawn to you or attracted to you was the fact that you talked about the how do you conducting a more effective sales call. Mm-hmm. And I remember that first conversation that we had, you talked a lot about how to do that sales call towards the end. It was one of the common struggle that a lot of, my community members, they're experiencing. So, but before we get to that topic, I was hoping that you can tell us a little bit about how you got into the coaching business.
Yeah. So I like to think that I started my business sort of by accident. I started out in, I believe it was 2014. And I pursued health coaching mostly because I was having my own health issues at the time. I kind of started having some issues in my early 20s that in my late 20s, after I'd had a knee surgery, after I had a reconstructive knee surgery, my health just literally I lost it overnight. It was crazy. It was one night I was normal. I went for a 10K run and the next day I woke up and I had chronic fatigue, chronic insomnia, and I was just a total mess. And that ended up going on for about 7 years. And so at the time, I was working a career in forestry, which, I was fighting wildfires. I was planting trees. I was designing cut blocks for logging operations. I was doing this very physical job. And so when I injured my knee, it was a huge blow to my career at the time, but also to the fact that I'm a big skier. And at that point, I was also trying to be a professional skier. So it was a bit of maybe an identity crisis, which is probably what sort of led to the health crash. But I ended up on unemployment for over a year and a half just because I couldn't work, couldn't ski, and I just didn't know what to do with myself. And I live in a very small town. I'm in British Columbia. My town is about 10,000 people. not a lot of career opportunity for someone with the skill set that I had. And I'm not a city girl. And I didn't want to move to a city. So I just didn't really know what I was going to do because I kind of felt like I couldn't do this physical job anymore with kind of what was happening in my body. And I was listening to a podcast one day, and this guy was talking about his health certification program. And I was like, okay, cool. I could like learn how to heal myself, and I could, maybe this could be like a business or something. And so I took that course, kind of started this online business with like no experience, no online business, barely knew how to turn on a computer, just sort of was like, I'm just going to figure this out because I have no backup plan. And so that's what I did. And kind of a lot of like trial and error. I grew that business from 2014 to 2019. And then in 2019, I was feeling kind of a little burnt out with the health coaching. I really wanted to do something different. And, I was like obsessing over my clients' health, my own personal health. And I think I needed a break. And I also realized that I really love strategy and tech and like the whole business side of things. So I started helping health coaches build their business. And then I actually hired my own health coach who ended up kind of helping me go the rest of the way with my health.
It sounds, we only took like 7 minutes. It's so condensed, right? But
Yeah.
I'm sure it was not the easy process to go through that 5 years trying to figure it out. And
Yeah.
just from the fact that you decided to, this might be a career, different path, and let me just try it out and I will figure it out. And I think, what I heard is trying to figure things out. And this is something that, a lot of my community member, that's what they're struggling with, is trying to figure things out. And so I'm wondering, what was it like for you to try and figure it out? What was the most challenging part for you in that figuring out period?
I think a lot of it was the tech, honestly. Like the tech is really difficult. And, this was 2014. So there's a lot of like nice platforms. Like things are a lot more user friendly these days. Like I remember trying to figure out like landing pages back, 8 years ago. And it was just like, it was so clunky and it was so much more technical. So I got really stuck in the tech. And also just literally having no idea, like thinking that I could just post on Facebook, say, hey, I'm a health coach, I can help you, and that people would come. And what I ended up getting was just a lot of nothing, and also just a lot of rejection and a lot of mindset stuff getting triggered, which I think people are very unaware of when they start a business. They're like, oh, I'll just start this business. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I feel really bad. Like, I don't feel good. I'm like getting triggered all the time. And so, it was a big journey of not taking it so personally, and learning how to not tie my entire self-worth into the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I'm sure did you have on your website, I know a lot of people do, and including myself, when I first had my website, it was my picture and then there's a book a call with me. And like you said, there's a lot of noise that's I'm creating, I'm posting, I'm sharing, I'm marketing. And then there's no phone call. Or finally, when someone actually booked the call, I would be doing a discovery call. But I noticed in my first 2 years that every time I go to the discovery call, it's great and amazing. I can have like a fabulous first 20 minutes and 30 minutes and client experience that transformation. But then I got to talk about my package.
Yeah.
What was it like for you?
I think what I did on those early, sales calls was not selling at all. It was more just like me giving them free information and hoping that they would just like be like on their own terms, be like, oh, by the way, I want to buy your thing. Right. Because there is this, when you're in the first half of the sales call, when maybe you're like talking and you're like, the person's kind of vibing with you, but then that point where you have to actually like make the pitch, like that feels really sticky. And people have a lot of fear and discomfort around that. And typically, I would just avoid it altogether and be like, okay, well, I hope to talk to you soon. Like, let me know, and just like peace out, because it was so uncomfortable, right? Like and it's not really a skill that we learn. It's not something we were taught in like high school, right?
Yeah. I love how you describe it. Yeah. Okay. Peace out. Bye.
Yeah.
Hope I hear from you again, which usually you never hear from them again, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we actually so I know we're going to talk about the health aspects of it, but let's just dial in a little bit more on the wealthy aspects of it. So how do I close it? Like, what is your experience? What is your tip on how do I close it?
Yeah. So the biggest way, like, so in terms of closing it, I want to take like a few steps back because there's a few things that need to happen first before you will even get close to closing a call. And it actually really starts with how you actually market that call. And this was a big disconnect that I was having on these calls because I was saying, hey, come get a free health history, come have a free consult, have a free coaching call. And the intention I was saying is like, I'm giving you free information. And what they thought they were getting was free information. So they come on the call, I give them all the things, they feel really excited. But then when I pitch the program, it's a no. And there can be a huge disconnect there, right? Because if you are marketing this call as a free call to come pick your brain, and then you are offering something paid, it doesn't mesh, right? And that's where people can be like, really like, oh, I didn't, I didn't know that this was what this is about. So if you're going to close, it starts with getting the right people on the call, because there are certain people who will come on a call who will never have any intention of buying. They're just there to pick your brain, but that's not what that call is for. Right. And it depends like what people learn. Like, I don't know if people got any business training in their certification program. Like, I know in the health coaching certification that I did, they said offer a free health history. And then that'll like show them everything that's wrong. And then they'll want your program, but that never worked. And I could never figure out why. Right. And it's because of that, because they think like, oh, sweet. Like, this is so nice of them. What a generous charity. Like, I'll come like get this free information and then I'll be good. And then when you're like, oh, buy my program, they're like, yeah, that's not why I came here. So the only purpose of a sales call is to determine like, are they a fit for what you do? And is the program going to work for them? Right. And so you have to be really clear about that. You're not offering a free call, a free consult. You're saying, hey, I have this free discovery session or strategy call, like whatever you're calling it, so that you can learn if my, anxiety fix method or my Hashimoto's solution program are a fit for you. And so you have to make that really clear. And that way, like, the only people who are coming on the call are people who are actually interested in learning, is your program right for them? So, it really does start there. You want to make sure you're getting the right people on the call. And that starts with like being really transparent about what the call is actually for, right? So it starts there. And then in terms of like, how do you actually close? I love how we're just like jumping to the end here. But what I teach my students is like, it's called permission-based selling, right? We're always looking for these various permission points throughout the call. And when you get permission from someone, suddenly it doesn't feel so scary because they've said yes, right? If someone gives you permission to pitch, that's going to help like all those nerves go away, right? And so, at the point in the sales call where you've determined like, okay, this is someone I can help. I can tell that they're probably committed. I can tell that they're a good fit for me. Great. Ask permission. Just say, hey, Jane, everything you've told me, I actually think you'd be a really good fit for my XYZ program. Do you want to learn a little bit more about how I help people go from, anxiety to calm, or from, an extra 15 pounds to fitting in their skinny jeans, or whatever it is. And if they say yes, they have given you permission to sell to them. And that suddenly doesn't feel so icky anymore, because I think that's the biggest sticking point with sales is people are like, I don't want to feel pushy. Like, I don't want to feel gross. I don't want to, be that door-to-door salesperson. Like, no one wants to be that dude, right? Or chick who's like trying to sell like the broken thing to an elderly person. Like, no one wants to be that person, right? But you're asking them like, hey, like, do you want me to tell you more about this? And then they've given you permission, and that should calm your nerves. You're like, okay, so now I can talk about my program, right?
Mm. I think that's a very interesting perspective, because I don't think a lot of coaches had that in mind, especially walking to a discovery call. We're trained to, it's a discovery call, so provide the value, and then at the end you wanted to sell them your package. But none of us, because we as coaches, we ask permission to coach someone, to work with a client all the time. But so I think that mindset shift of just asking for the permission. Is it okay for me to share your price with your what I do and my price? And people are just going to say yes or no. And if it's a no, okay, that's okay, and you just move on.
Yeah,
So
totally.
It's a very interesting and new perspective. At least I never thought about that. I typically just do, here's my package, read it, go through it, and then we'll jump on the call if this is a good fit. Yeah. So
yeah, and I think too, like, it's so easy to just want to like talk about the program kind of like a robot.
Mhm.
Like, this is my program, like it does this and this and this. But, really, this is a huge sales call tip, but like, you really shouldn't be talking more than 25% of the call, right? Like, the purpose of the call, again, is not to show them how smart you are. You don't need to prove yourself. You're already proven yourself. Like, if they're signing up for a call with you, like, they already think you're awesome, right? So you don't need to prove yourself. So you can take the pressure off. You're not trying to prove how smart you are, but really what you're doing, because you mentioned there, like, provide the value and then sell the thing. But the value isn't in like consulting or giving information. The value is in the holding of the space for the person and helping them feel seen and heard and understood. Like, that is truly what it's about. Like, you really just want to listen to them. And that's how you properly qualify a person. Like, make sure, like, are they the right fit? Do our energies align? Like, are they committed? All of that. But if you've been listening to them, they're going to tell you where they're stuck, right? So if I use an example from my business, people might be like, like, I can't figure out my niche. I'm really like, keep going back and forth. I'm really stuck on this. I'm really like scared to sell. And yeah, I have no idea what to do on social media. Mm-hmm. So instead of like just giving them this whole outline of my program, the first thing I can say is, okay. And, so this is my program. It's Health Coach Accelerator. It helps health coaches go from barely making ends meet to a six-figure business. Do you know much about Health Coach Accelerator, or do you want me to go into the details? Because potentially they're like your biggest fan, right? And they've like binged your entire sales page and like, they know everything. And you might not even really need to talk about it. They might be like, oh no, I know totally it does this. And, there's this coaching support and there's this lesson, and, they might already know, but they might say, no, tell me about it. And then you can customize how you explain the program to what they just said. You'll be like, okay, so in module 2, this is where we go into niching and messaging. And you mentioned that you're really stuck on your niche and that you can't figure it out. And this is actually where we will make sure that you choose a niche that is both profitable and aligned, right? And module 6 is where we talk about social media. So remember how you said that you have no idea what to do on social media? Well, we actually show you how to set up your accounts. We show you the strategy, and we show you how to create content that sells, right? So that's how they feel like it's just for them. And it's not just like this generic overview of the program, right? Because you're listening to them about what they really need help with. And then you're showing them where in your program actually supports that pain point.
Yeah. And I think nowadays, consumers are actually getting very smart. Like we're all getting very smart because we getting so much information overload, and we're consuming and reading all these different type of strategy and marketing. So we already have an idea before going into a call. So it's really just about engaging them with their energy. So we're talking a lot about the doing, how to be the six figure, how to get there. And I know one of your specialty area is the healthy. How do we maintain, how do we create that balance between wealthy and healthy?
Yeah. Well, I think so my audience specifically always are really scared that they're going to lose their health in the building of a business, right? They're like, well, I have all these health problems, and I get it. I built a business in the depths of a chronic illness. So I get it. Right. But I think it's about, you have to honor your body, and you have to have tools to help yourself, like not only stay on track, but like honor your energy. So as an example, I have this, like, you probably can't see it. It's like behind me. I have this weird little altar board. I do energy clearing, like a little energy clearing ceremony at the end of every day, because I tend to take on people's energy, right? Like, I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and be stressing about one of my students and like a problem that they're having, like in our Facebook group. Right. And I think for, anyone who's a coach, like, we care deeply about our people, and it's really easy to just take it all on and make it feel like it's our responsibility. Right. So I think what's really important is, you don't have to do the weird woo-woo stuff that I do, but maybe there's something like, maybe it's like you go for a walk, you go outside, you breathe fresh air, maybe you do meditation, maybe you just deep breathe. And what has really served me is rituals, right? Having these various rituals that I do throughout the day, in the morning and at the end of work, that just kind of help me keep like my work in the office, right? So little rituals like that. I do a lot of breath work. I'm actually a certified breathwork facilitator, and I do it with my students, but we all know that stuff comes up throughout the day, right? We get overwhelmed. We get imposter syndrome. We see another coach online who's crushing it. We feel jealousy, right? We start comparing ourselves. Like, this stuff is all just kind of part of the journey, right? Mm-hmm. And so I go through that stuff too. And when I do, it's like, I will go sit down and do just like a 10-minute like breath work session to just get back on my body. Cause truly when we're stressed out, we're dealing with all the mindset stuff. It's because we are in our head and we're not present and in our bodies. And once we get back into our bodies, everything feels a little bit better. And it can be as simple as I do breath work, but people can journal, meditate, go outside, do a little bit of exercise, but just, it's about being consciously aware of when you're feeling these things and not pushing it down, because I think that's where it can start to bubble up and you feel the stress and the overwhelm. And for me personally, that will turn me into like workaholic. If I'm like super overwhelmed and like all these things, it actually will make me work more, and I'll just work like a 12-hour day with no break, which is not healthy. So, I have to create boundaries for myself. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because I notice, myself too, a lot of time, my way of resetting is to actually, I just drop everything and just do a 45 minutes like cardio workout. Because then I'm in my body, I'm not in my mind, I'm not in my head. And the other thing that I love to do is I just binge watch a whole bunch of Netflix.
I love it. Well, I like to binge watch like reality dating shows. I can't stop watching Love Island. It's embarrassing.
There's a new one that's out there. What's it called? It's Love at Blind Sight or something.
Oh yeah, Love is Blind. Love it. Also, The Ultimatum. If you want like a total dumpster fire of a show, like it is very good.
A lot of time I get inspiration from just binge watching the Netflix.
Well, whatever it does. And I mean, that's a method of self-care too, right? And I think it's really important. And, I always tell my students, because a lot of them do have their own health issues and stuff. And I'm like, well, in my opinion, like running a business is more conducive to health than going to a corporate job. Like I think about my forestry job, 7 to 5, Monday to Friday, like out tramping around the woods, falling on my face, getting rained on, getting snowed on, like, is exhausting. And, living your life on someone else's schedule by someone else's rules. Like, I mean, in my opinion, like that is not conducive to health for, people who maybe don't fit into that mold. Right. So at least you can make your own hours. If you are like, I have my energy in the morning and in the afternoon, I'm tired, then just, work for your 4 hours in the morning and be done.
And take a nap.
Yeah, take a nap, watch Netflix, crush The Ultimatum.
Exactly. So, Kendra, how do you work with clients? Like, tell me more about your program and what are you offering?
Sure. Yeah. So my main program is Health Coach Accelerator. It is a course and group mentorship program. And within that program, we help mostly newbie health coaches, wellness coaches, life coaches, fitness coaches, kind of any coach in like wellness, personal development space. And we really help them get their really strong business foundation. Because I find when a lot of people come to me, they're kind of reaching for all these crazy strategies, but it's like, we don't even have like the niche dialed in or the messaging or the communication. So we really focus on niching, messaging, communication, building the program, pricing properly, and then, making sales through essentially sales calls using social media and intentional collaborations.
Mm-hmm. And so I think one thing that caught my attention was the pricing. Like, what have you noticed is the biggest challenge when it comes to pricing for coaches?
Yeah, I think money is it's like a whole, it's like the elephant in the room, right? I find most coaches are undercharging, and that makes sense. And if you're undercharging, it's not your fault. Like you just have nothing to follow, right? Like you're like, I'm just supposed to decide like what to charge. And typically, for a lot of coaches, especially in the wellness field, what they've seen is this trade time for money sort of model. Like, you go see a naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, massage therapist. And so usually a lot of the schools too will teach you to actually like do that business model. So there's that. And unfortunately, like that might make sense for a licensed health professional whose services can get written off for extended health benefits, right? Like that's, they can get busy doing that model. But like, if you don't have that and you're, trying to market online, like you actually don't have enough time to make money because you need like a few days a week to market your business and to do all the other things in your business. You can't just be working with clients all the time. So I find a lot of them are, charging this hourly rate that typically when all is said and done is minimum wage, maybe, and So that's a big issue. The other thing that I see a lot of is pricing based on competition, right? Like looking to see what other people are charging. But I think pricing is it's very individual, and it should be very intentional, right? It should be based off of like what you need, right? Like what are your monthly expenses for personal and business, and what do you want, right? Like maybe you want to get a massage every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
You got to put that in. Like this is your business, your lifestyle, right? Maybe you want to be able to take a vacation every 3 months or whatever it is. So you actually have to, if you want to price properly, you have to look at your expenses and your needs, and even things like taxes and savings and all of that, and figure out like, what do you need to make every month to pay your bills, but also like lead the lifestyle that you want to lead. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what your pricing has to be based off. And no one is doing that. Usually it's based on competition, or it's just like, I pulled this number out of my butt and I'm going with it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I agree. A lot of time they undercharge.
Yeah.
They charge this hourly rate. And so you keep chasing from one client to another.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to design your program and you're the boss, you basically have, you do you, and your program should be designed so that you have some freedom and time to do all these other things that you love. And I think that health insurance is something that people don't keep in the back of their mind.
Yeah.
So when they start out their own business, they don't have healthcare insurance anymore. So you got to factor that into your budget as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because if we're talking about staying healthy as you like build your wealth, like, yeah, like I pay for my own extended health benefits, and, because I like to go get massages every week.
I've been wanting a massage. Like I'm definitely going to do it this weekend. Book my massage. I've been thinking about it for quite couple of weeks now.
So good. So good.
Any last words that you have for our audience today?
Yeah, I do have one last sales tip on the conversation of sales calls. So this is like a very simple, it's not easy, but it's very simple shift that you can make that could literally like triple your sales. And that is detach from the outcome, right? Because I think we want to make the sales, like we're desperate. We're like, we need the money, we need to make the sale, but like that energy is felt by the client on the other line, and they may not know what they're feeling, but they feel that something is off, right? And that can also lead you to signing a client who isn't the right fit. So detachment work is actually a really big piece of like learning how to master sales, where you just detach from the outcome. You show up to serve, and you're there to find the best outcome for them, even if it's not working for you or with you. And whatever the outcome is, like you're at peace with it. And that sort of detachment work is huge. And just that alone, I've seen people like have huge improvements in their close rates just from the ability to just kind of step back and just kind of like not be so attached to the outcome.
Yeah. I am your living testimonial on that, because when I started to detach, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to hop on the call, do me, and I'm going to just go through the discovery call, not attached to the outcome. And like you said, it really, really helped tremendously, like double, triple, just having that detachment from it.
Yeah. It's like so simple, not easy, especially if you're like, I'm broke, but it's a very simple shift. And so I think like detachment work is something that will always serve us in sales for sure.
Yeah. I think at that moment when I had that shift, it was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to show up and just do this.
Yeah.
It totally worked.
Totally.
Hey, Kendra, I know you have a summit coming up. Can you tell us more about the summit?
Yeah, so I'm running a free online virtual summit from June 13th to June 17th. It's for health and wellness coaches, or anyone in health and wellness, personal development space. And the purpose is to help you from going from inconsistent clients, barely making ends meet, to a thriving 6-figure business. And we are going to allow you to kind of pull on all the expertise of 20. I think we have 22 different speakers and experts talking on everything from TikTok to manifestation, to pleasure and desire in your business, to pricing, packaging, signature programs, all of the things. It's totally free. Yeah.
And here's the website, and I will make sure to include this in the comment below and in the chat box to make sure that everyone have an opportunity to go and sign up. I wanted to participate so bad.
I know. I would have loved to have you. It would have been so great.
I know. But I got we were talking about how to balance that health and wellness. I think it's also important to just give ourselves permission to, you know what, I have a lot of things on my plate and I'm going to sit out on this one.
Yeah, fair enough. You gotta honor your, what your body needs, right?
And I am so looking forward just to be part of that summit and just come in and, show up and just hear all these amazing speakers and what they share in that summit.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And we're going to keep presentations short. So you will be able to watch all of them. Because I find a lot of summits, they're like these 90-minute presentations, and then you have like 4 to watch in a day. But we're trying to keep them 30 minutes and less, so just to honor everyone's time.
That would be perfect. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Yeah. So Kendra, where can people find you?
Yeah. So the best place to find me is on Instagram. Handle is @Kendra Perry Inc. I also have a podcast. It's called the Wealthy Coach Podcast, where we jam out about business, strategy, tech, mindset, sometimes some woo-woo weird things, all kinds of stuff on there. And my website is kendraperry.net.
Yay! I will have all the links in the episode notes, and so that people can come and find you and check out all the good stuff, because that's how I found you. I found your website and I was just very attracted to it.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming, and good luck with the summit. I can't wait to get it going.
It'll be great.
All right, bye. I'll talk to you in a minute. I'm going to put you to the backstage.
Sounds good.
All right. Hey, beautiful. Thanks for listening. Ever feel like you are out in the battle by yourself in this world? I know I did. If you found values from this podcast and you are a woman coach who is ready to launch your coaching career and looking for strategies to get seen, get heard, and get hired, I want to invite you to check out additional resources in launching your coaching business by visiting my website at elevatelifecoaching.org. This show is made possible by listeners like you. I would love for you to support me by subscribing to the podcast on your favorite platform. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up and a heartfelt review. See you at my next tea party. Bye now.